Hi, I'm Emma, and I made the decision to start solo travelling because I was sick of waiting for the right person to go with me and the perfect timing. It just never lined up because everybody, now I'm in my 30s, everybody is just so busy. So I decided if no one's going to come with me, I was going to take myself. Travelling solo has completely changed how I see myself, how I see my life, and what I'm capable of, and that's why I wanted to share with you how you can start solo travelling and tips to make that first solo trip as smooth as possible. And honestly, these last few tips are why I will never wait for anybody to travel with me again. If you're watching this, then you are probably nervous, scared, excited. You are either thinking about booking that trip or you have booked and you need that pre-trip anxiety just to settle a little. And I just want to say that I am really proud of you for even considering this because it is a massive step and we all have reasons why we want to go on our solo trip, and a lot of it will be about growth, and just know that you will grow immeasurably from this trip. My first suggestion is, before you even get into thinking about a massive long haul trip or backpacking for 3 weeks around Europe, whatever it may be that you would like to do, I would suggest that you take the time to be comfortable with being solo first, where you are not too far away from home. I actually started this by doing extremely small steps. So I first of all started going out for lunch on my own. After that, I hired a tent box and did one night camping, literally like an hour and a half away from home so that I could come home if I wanted to. Then I took a bit of a brave step actually. So I have 2 children and I took my youngest daughter, who she was 4 at the time. We went on a 2-week Caribbean cruise. My eldest didn't want to come, she's a teenager. But then I did feel that I had a little bit of security knowing that that ship was our base, but I didn't have the confidence to be able to go on any excursions that weren't through Morella. I then took a bit of a jump. I had a look at group trips, so I actually went to Costa Rica. Good morning. So I am in San Jose in Costa Rica. This is my first day. I arrived last night. Absolutely shattered I was after traveling for like 20 odd hours. So I thought I'd give like a bit of a tour of this apartment and then I'm gonna go and explore the pool. I am feeling a little bit like anxious just because I have to be out of here at 11 and then I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know whether to go over to the hotel that I'm staying in tonight and like leave my bags there and explore in that area, or I'm not sure what to do, or whether to like try and store my bags in like a hotel around here somewhere. You just like pay like £5 and then explore around here because this like is a safe area, but I'm just not sure. I'm a little bit panicked. Hello, it is editing me. I thought I'd just include that because I think that really does show the reality of things. Like you can see that I am petrified because I was scared of going into San Jose because parts of it are not very safe and I was just really confused about what to do. Let me just tell you, everything turned out perfectly fine. I went to the hostel, put my bags there, and then someone came out and started talking to me. And that was it. We went for lunch together in San Jose. But I just thought it was valuable. You can also see I was filming this setup as well because YouTube's been on the cards for a while. Like I have been filming for YouTube for a while now, but just not putting up. So my new year, new me. We're doing it. And within that, there was a layover in Atlanta, and the layover on the way home was something like 8 hours. So I was pretty anxious about that because I wanted to go out of the airport, but I wasn't really sure about navigating it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be safe. But in the airport, I heard 2 girls in front of me talking about going out into the city. So I actually, which just isn't like me, but I had found so much confidence from the group trip in Costa Rica that I was like, I'm just going to keep running with this. So I approached them and just kind of said, oh, I think you're on the same flight as me and I think you want to do the same thing as me. And before we knew it, we're getting an Uber into Atlanta and getting lunch and exploring the city. But that group trip was a massive learning curve for me. I always thought I was quite introverted and quite shy, and then on that trip, I came to realise that a lot of the things that I believed about myself weren't actually accurate. You know, I ended up probably being one of the more outgoing people on that trip. So this is what I mean, like travel can just change everything, especially when you're going solo, because you are able to show up as a different person. You know, when you're going with friends, they know exactly who you are in your day-to-day life. But having that gap from the people that already knew me meant that I could show up as my authentic self actually, and not the person that I kind of show up as in day-to-day life. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's definitely what I found. After that, I booked a solo trip to Turkey, and I wanted to make it as anxiety friendly as possible, so I just booked an all-inclusive. I literally booked it a couple of days before. I knew the weather was going to be great, so I was like, you know, if worst comes to worst, then I can just stay at the pool for the weekend. Turned out to be a really nice trip. That boosted my confidence again, and then I decided for Easter holidays, I was going to take the kids to Malta. We did 8 nights in Malta, hired a car for the whole of the trip. I stayed in Malta for 4 nights and then went over to Gozo for 4 nights. So I knew that I had to navigate like the car ferry and stuff. I was trying to push those boundaries more and more, you know, get out my comfort zone and focus on growth zone. Then I did another solo trip to Gothenburg. I did 2 nights here, and I knew that I was going to have to do that spa on my own. I was going to need to go out and eat and explore, and I did all of that, which has led me to this point where I am going on a trip to Japan in less than a month. I'm doing that trip completely solo, and I am not organised at all, and I am quite anxious about it. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. But I think I was going to go to Vietnam, but I've changed the plan a little bit because it is Tet holiday when I was due to be there, and I just don't think it's going to be the right destination for me navigating Vietnam on my own for the first time. So I'm either going to stay in Japan for the duration of the trip, or I might go to Thailand, but that's something that I need to work out. Costa Rica, the Maldives, Gothenburg, super solo friendly. I would also recommend cities like Budapest and Krakow if you wanted to go closer to home, because I would probably recommend doing that as well before you take a bigger trip. But if you have the confidence to go further afield in your first trip, you're thinking, yeah, fine, I'm going to go to Thailand. It's going to be great for solo travellers anyway. I took the kids. We did 6 weeks in Southeast Asia in the summer of 2024, and I would definitely recommend it there. I would just maybe take the baby steps beforehand and just get used to being on your own. But you'll find that there are so many solo travellers there, and yeah, the hostels and things are set up to get people socialising, so it's all good. You know, so there are some places that are going to be really good for your first solo trip, and others maybe when you've had a bit more experience. So I would say the first tip is, it's so important for you to research your destination before you book it. You know, I'm going with Japan because I've done so much research, and everybody says what a great city it is, you know, how safe it is, and as a female solo traveller, I don't want to get somewhere and feel out of my depth. Safety matters, familiarity matters, ease matters. So think about all of those things when you are coming to choose your destination. I would definitely do my research on social media and also on blogs and things, because people will tell you the honest truth about whether they felt safe somewhere, and yeah, that is just super important. The second one is, you can travel very cheaply, you know, depending on the destination that you're going to. If you're happy to stay in hostels, excellent, is going to be really budget friendly for you and great for meeting people and socialising. Where I would not be compromising is safety. So even when you know a country is safe to travel to in general, there will still be areas that maybe you should avoid, just like everywhere. So make sure that you do your research and do not book hotels in those areas that might be a little bit sketchy or, you know, a little bit off. Any kind of doubt that you have, you need to go with that, because safety is your number one priority regardless. I will always pay for transport when I feel like I need it. I will always pay for an eSIM, and obviously this one is completely up to you, because you can get SIM cards in the airport if you want to, and it can work out cheaper. But I have never gone anywhere on my own or like with the kids without having an eSIM set up on my phone before I travel, so that I know as soon as I land into that country, I can access anything on my phone. I can get onto maps, like nothing is going to stress me out. I know that I've got access to everything that I need. Even going to Gothenburg, I didn't realise, but obviously these new changes have come in for people travelling from the UK in November, and they quizzed me like hard on, I had to show my return flights, I had to show my hotel booking, and I was not prepared. I didn't have any of this screenshotted because I've never experienced that before, but obviously now I know, I will travel prepared. But if I didn't have my internet already set up or eSIM already set up, then that would have been something that would cause stress, because there were people in front of me taking forever because they're trying to scramble to get documents and things together and get on the Wi-Fi, and it's just not stress that we want, no? And there's certain airports, like if you fly into Antalya in Turkey, for example, you will really struggle to get Wi-Fi. They tell you to go to a booth to get a Wi-Fi code, and I've never seen said booth. If there is one thing to throw your money at when you are travelling, it is safety. Tip 3, the most magical part of solo travel is that your itinerary is completely yours. You do things on your own time. You can do whatever you want, whatever takes your fancy. You know, you don't want to go out for dinner that night, that's fine. You get room service. You have a love of art. You want to go to an art gallery, that's absolutely fine. You go. Your time is yours, and that honestly is magic. What I don't suggest is you jam pack your itinerary, especially if you're doing a longer trip and you're staying in hostels and you want to be more social. You will want flexibility in that itinerary so that you can pivot and change as you meet people and potentially as you find out about different activities and excursions and things that are available that you didn't know beforehand. What I would say is that you have a loose list of things that you would like to do. And my number one tip would be plan something in. So for that first day or two, have somewhere that you want to go. I would recommend booking some kind of experience. So like for me in Gothenburg, I booked the spa. I don't know if I would have chickened out from going to the spa if I hadn't booked it, but because it was booked, I was like, yes, I'm going. And I'm going for opening because I wanted to film content. And then made another promise to myself. I was going to leave the hotel room after I'd showered and things at 1 p.m. to go and walk to the Haga area to go and find some lunch there. I actually went on TripAdvisor, found a really well-reviewed cafe, so I knew where I was going to go. To help overcome the anxiety so that you don't spiral and stay in that hotel room, have something planned in, like an anchor activity. And like I say, it could just be a restaurant that you want to go to. There is another tip as well. If you are worried about going into a restaurant just as one person, book ahead so that they already know to expect you. And this is why I've kind of backtracked on Vietnam as well, because first of all, loads of the experiences and things are booked up, but also I've read that restaurants are going to be jam-packed, and I'm like, as one person, will they want me taking up a table? And it's just not something that I need to be thinking about. Step 4 is ensuring that you have the right essentials with you. You will always need a power bank. I would suggest that you have a spare charging wire. You should take, if you are going to certain countries like Southeast Asia, I would recommend that you take probiotics before you travel. It might sound like a simple step, but I took them, me and the kids took them 2 weeks before we travelled, we took them while we were travelling, and nobody had any issues. And the last thing that you want on your trip, especially if you're solo, is to be stuck in your room with barley belly. So probiotics, I would say completely non-negotiable. Any medication that you might need, buy it before you go, take it with you. Again, if you go in somewhere like Southeast Asia, take sun cream with you because some of them will contain like bleaching agents. I always tag my bag, and sometimes it can make you feel a little bit anxious when you're at the luggage belt and it's still saying that it's in the UK, but I do just like to have that peace of mind anyway. And on that note, share your itinerary and your location with somebody that you trust, whether, like for me, my friend has my location all the time anyway, but you might want to share it with your family. If you're staying in hostels, you'll want to take a lock with you. You will also want to travel in practical clothing because there is nothing worse than being uncomfortable. Make sure that you have layers so that if you're traveling somewhere hot and it's cold at home, then you can just whip off those layers when you get into your destination. And the other thing is, if you want to post content, do not do it in real time because you just never know who is watching. You know, even if your account is private, I would always recommend, like when I was a teacher, I would always say to the kids, never say when you are on holiday because you just don't know who is watching. First of all, because of safety for your house at home, but also because, like I say, you don't know who's watching and we are never compromising our safety. Before I leave, I always make sure that I research any apps that I might need that are specific to that country, like the best apps for taxis or for transport, or if there's a certain maps to use you know, whether I think for Japan you use Google Maps rather than Apple Maps, so it's really good to be prepared in that sense. And always download offline maps just in case you need it, you never know. On the back of that, always make sure that you have cash with you as well as a card. I would actually take 2 cards because you never know, like when I was in Thailand I lost my bank card, absolute pain. Monzo are good, they'll send it out to you, you know, in a few days, but if I didn't have cash then I would have been like completely screwed. And on that note, I think I've covered everything, and I know you're scared and I know you have a million and one thoughts in your head, but I promise you this trip is going to change how you see yourself. You don't need to know everything before you go, because honestly things will fall into place. You don't need to be brave, it's just taking those small steps, and this is where confidence comes from. Like, we don't just suddenly magic up the confidence to be able to go and do things. We take the steps and the confidence comes as we are on those steps, on that path. And just know that the best stories come when you start with a little bit of fear and a little bit of anxiety. You are going to have the best time and the best stories to tell. And if you have any questions or any fears, then pop it into the comments, because I will read all of your comments and respond to you. And it also helps me to understand what would be a good next video to do. And again, make sure that you subscribe, because I am going to be vlogging my trip, so you'll get to see where I end up and what I end up doing and how I navigate those first few days on my long haul, like super solo trip.